Hey guys, welcome to the Liberal Hive Mind, a channel solely focused on exposing the abundant hypocrisy of the left. Here's your meme of the day, brought to you guys by FiveMind.com. Well, the Schumer shutdown optics meat grinder continues. Every single day it seems like Democrats are clinging on desperately until one day, miraculously, everything turns around and they finally get an optics win. They're waiting for that moment of inflection. But when your tactics are this dirty, when you're engaging in such clear scumbag behavior as we are currently observing, well, that day never comes. And I think most people have realized this. Most people have accepted this, except for, well, Chuck Schumer and many of his Democrat comrades. And so I guess the embarrassment ritual continues. Every day another influential public voice steps out and torches the Democrat narrative. And, some people might be saying, the Republicans are kind of quiet these days. They've been quiet throughout this shutdown. There's that whole meme, right, of Democrats looking through the Capitol building. Where are the Republicans?
Are there any Republicans in here? Hello? Republicans?
Any behind this desk? Nope. Steve Scalise, where are you? House Republicans, where are you?
I don't see Republicans here either.
They might be meeting with Stephen Miller in here.
Oh, yes, this secret door.
I don't see any House Republicans there either.
Well, no wonder Republicans are MIA. They don't need to do anything. Everyone else is doing the work for them. Democrats' own unions are doing the work for them. John Fetterman continues to rag against his own party.
I'm deeply distressing to know that 42 million Americans are going to lose their SNAP benefits. And now that's one of the big reasons why I refuse to shutting our government down. I feel like the Democrats really need to own the shutdown.
And so why lift a finger? Unions, everyday voters, their own politicians are doing all the talking necessary, and now even business leaders are tagging on. And so basically, the longer this drags on, the clearer it gets. The boomerang is flying back, aimed right at Chuck Schumer's shit-eating grin. Chuck Schumer's worst nightmare continues, this time as a top airline CEO comes out asking Democrats to stop this shutdown nonsense. Let me show you guys exactly what's going on. We got some stuff to get into, so let's roll the tape. All right, folks, so take a look here. We've got the CEO of United Airlines now making a public plea with Chuck Schumer and the Democrat Party.
I'll start by really thanking the professionals, the air traffic controllers, folks at the TSA, also the FAA, the people in management. They're working hard. They are keeping the skies safe. They've minimized delays. Fewer than 2% of flights have been delayed so far because of air traffic control shortages. So they've done a great job. But it's putting stress on people. It's not fair to those people. It's also putting stress on the economy. The first couple of weeks this had no impact on the economy. But as every day goes by, the impacts start to grow. And airlines are a pretty good real-time indicator of the economy. And we start to see still minor, but steep booking impact, and you see that happening in the economy. We put the whole economy at risk. And so it's been 30 days, and while I don't have a position on which partisan side and how things should be settled with healthcare, it has been 30 days. I also think it is time to pass a clean CR, use that as the opportunity to get into a room behind closed doors and negotiate hard on the real and substantive issues that the American people want our politicians on both sides of the aisle to solve.
And so again, it's not MAGA world. It's not some MAGA social influencer or MAGA cabinet member. It's a nonpartisan business leader. And again, the message is you are putting stress on regular people, using them as hostages to pass your agenda. It's wrong. Pass the clean CR and then negotiate in good faith while the government is open. You want to get all your Biden-era goodies back? Maybe win another election. Then you get your mandate. That's supposed to be how democracy works. This has been a complete shutdown failure. And again, with all this effort from the Democrats to pin it on Donald Trump, it's Donald Trump's shutdown for some reason. All these huge public newsworthy events, all the condemnation, it's all headed towards the Democrat direction. Notice how no massive unions or massive business leaders are buying into the pathetic Democrat narrative, coming out saying, Donald Trump, open the government, give the Democrats everything that they want. Donald Trump, why are you shutting down government? No, all of the anger, all of the pleas are all aimed at Chuck frickin' Schumer. That tells you all that you need to know. And really, look, the word that keeps coming to mind is backfire. Not only in terms of optics, but across the frickin' board. This whole shutdown is backfiring spectacularly, and it's multifaceted. It's not just the optics loss, it's not just the polling, it's also what's continuously being revealed. The shutdown is ripping the curtain away on all the fraud, waste, and abuse in these social entitlement programs the Democrats for years, for decades have swore are pristine. Nothing to see here, folks. Everything the Democrats do is sacrosanct, right? Don't you dare take a penny away from any of our Democrat programs. Millions, billions of people will instantly die. To imply that there's any waste, fraud, and abuse means you're a Nazi just like Elon Elon Musk. It's ridiculous. Meanwhile, the reality...
Day one of USDA, February 13th, is we sent letters to every governor in America being very clear that no illegal aliens can use SNAP. 0, 0, 0. We asked every state for the first time in history, and this was in February, to send us their data and let us, with DOJ and a war room, actually start going through this data to better understand how this explosion of SNAP benefits happened under Joe Biden. We increased almost 40% on this program in just a couple of years under the Biden administration. Of course, we know they were trying to buy the election, but that's a conversation for another time. And since we have asked for that data, 29 states have complied. Of course, almost all the red states, a couple of couple blue states too. But in that data, and I haven't talked about this yet publicly, in that data we've studied about $100 billion in spend. We have found thousands and thousands of illegal use of the EBT card. We have been moving people off of SNAP. We've got almost 700,000 people, I think, we've moved off just since the president took office. We've arrested about 118 people. So this has been ongoing.
Absolutely brutal. SNAP exploded 40% under Joe Biden, and blue state leaders, for some reason, are stonewalling the data. I wonder why that is. Well, probably because it's not just the healthcare issue that Democrats are fighting tooth and nail for. It's not just that illegal migrants are receiving health care illegally through federal tax subsidies, indirectly, of course, through accounting measures. No, it's also that they're receiving SNAP benefits. And so Democrats have played themselves. It's backfiring on multiple fronts, not only by creating leverage through pain, not only in the shutdown itself, but now by, again, allowing the platform to expose their broken system. Oh, and it also backfired in the sense that President Trump was then able to fire a bunch of useless government bureaucrats during the shutdown period. Yet Chuck Schumer claims that every day that goes by, we're winning more and more. Yeah, I'm not so sure about that one. And that begs the next question. What is this all for? I mean, clearly Democrats are playing politics here. You'd assume that the goal would be to, start going up in the polls, start making some significant gains. They're doing worse now than they were before the shutdown. And that's with push polls skewing the averages. Every now and then you'll have a push poll that comes out showing, Democrats with a +9 lead, a massive, massive lead over Republicans. It's over, and you'll have all these Democrats freaking soy jacking over that poll. But despite the push polls, they have an average in RCP of +3. At this stage in the game, that is nothing. In a typical first midterm after a new administration comes in, the opposition party is supposed to make some serious inroads. Back in 2018, Democrats had a +7.3 generic ballot data lead before the election, and it was even higher in terms of early polling data. If they were building momentum here, you'd expect them to be at least at a +6, maybe all the way up to a +10, but instead they're within the margin of error, despite the polling biases, polling misses, and push polls skewing the average. This is supposed to be their moment.
I think the Democrats actually are going to do very well because, if you look at what's going on now, even among Republicans, the polling is not especially good on the economy. And this is among Republicans who are very worried about the economy and also think he's overreached. I think 63% of the people said, we need to check on this guy. He is a little drunk with power. And that has been noticed, I think, even by sort of the person who doesn't pay that much attention to politics. So that's usually when people do really well from the other party in the midterms, when they say, okay, there's this guy in the White House, because this has happened before with both parties, not to this degree, of course, and drunk with power, we need to check.
Exactly. Right now, especially considering how hard Donald Trump is going, I agree with what he's doing, but, when you're really pushing boundaries like the president is doing, usually there's a especially independent middle ground voter sentiment to vote for the opposing party to create some checks and balances. And so right now you would expect that to be happening. Democrats should be steamrolling Republicans. And that's basically what Bill Maher was speaking to. But in terms of the polling data, it's just not there. And it gets even worse when you look at that data and what that means in a midterm election. Democrats need a significant lead to really pull off a massive victory across the country. That ain't it. And then on top of it, you got the redistricting losses that they're taking. Republicans gaining over 10 seats over Democrats. I don't know. I'm just not seeing blue wave, possibly a blue wobble. Maybe they gain a couple seats. Maybe they flip the House. But also, maybe they don't. And maybe it gets worse, as it usually does, the closer we get to Election Day. And so, this was supposed to be the Democrats' big play, right? More kabuki theater, Tesla protests, into a shutdown, into hashtag no kings, into more shutdown, then, causing this whole crisis over SNAP benefits. And what did they get? Massive optics losses, SNAP fraud being exposed, and polls that aren't really moving. Democrats continuing to underperform. This is looking more and more like a Chuck Schumer nightmare every single freaking day. Anyways, that's what I got for you guys. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.